Hi, I'm J.M. Shapiro, CEO of Continental Realty Corporation. I'm excited to have Brian Lichtenberger, the founder and CEO of Markerr, with us today. Brian, welcome, and maybe a little bit of background about yourself.
Jam, thanks. Thanks for having me. Good to see you. I'm Brian Lichtenberger. I'm the CEO and founder of Markerr. And we started the company late last year and excited to be here today.
Awesome. So maybe let's start with a little bit of the background about Markerr. When was it founded? Sort of a little bit of there's been so much discussion about prop tech, and people are thinking about it so much, and data, and you're at the center of all this. So maybe you could tell us how this all came about.
Sure. So, I mentioned we started the company last year. We actually spun out of a previous company that I had founded, and we launched the products earlier this year. The thing that's interesting about us, we're the company that we've created. We're experts in data and analytics, and we think the opportunity in real estate is really interesting because real estate, while it's really data intensive, the way that clients use data, it's siloed and kind of narrow, and we think there's a big opportunity to try and change the way that institutional real estate decisions are made by applying all the potential of big data and analytics to help inform those decisions. And so that's what we did. We think it's a big opportunity for us. We're excited, and ultimately, the team we've built, we just love building, and love insights and love delivering value to clients. And so we're off and running. We're kind of 6, 7 months into this, and we're having fun.
So talk some more maybe about what does that mean, like to use the data and how you're analyzing the data, and then at the same time, I think what's interesting is your team, right? You have data scientists, you have other people on the team. So maybe help people understand, okay, what does Markerr do and how does it do it differently?
Sure, good question. So, I mean, first, in terms of clients, we hear all the time a couple things. One, that they have a lot of data at their disposal. They're just not able to get access to it. And so, even a lot of clients that we deal with, they may own, lots of different buildings, and they have different systems, and they have a hard time essentially getting all this data together and putting it in one place that's easily accessible by all their different teams and different parts of their business. And then the second thing is there's real demand and interest in wanting to increasingly leverage external data to make decisions. And so, it's hard to leverage external data when you can't even really get access in an easy way to your internal data. And so you have kind of this challenge of a number of things coming together, which is, presenting some problems for lots of clients. Now, I think what's interesting about what we do is the potential to do a few things. First, we leverage real-time data, where this industry is primarily leverage data that's, it's more static. It's kind of captured in an infrequent way. And so the potential for real-time insight is really interesting. We work with data sets that are generally, they're proprietary data sets. So they're ones that aren't, accessed through the traditional means or the traditional kinds of tools that real estate, clients would normally leverage. And then the third is, you mentioned, we've got technology and domain expertise where we can apply data science at scale to ingest these massive data sets, clean them up and structure them, and then ultimately make them useful. And not just for a really sophisticated client that has, they might have their own engineers and data scientists, but also, the majority of our clients they're business users, they're analysts, they're in an acquisitions role or an operational role, and they want access to this real time insight. They just want it in a way that fits within their workflow. They want it that fits within their decision making process, and that's what's unique about what we're building in Markerr is this really unique real time data, all the technology and the expertise to make sense of it. But then these delivery models with our products that fit a variety of different kinds of workflow data folks all the way to more business users.
So right. So what you're saying is, look, it's really detailed, but it's understandable by somebody like me. So I can sign on. We actually are a customer, and so I can sign on and look at a dashboard and really understand. Okay, if we are looking at buying an apartment building or doing a development in a certain area, the data exists. It's easily accessible, which I think is important. But you also, from our experience working with you, you have people inside who can run circles around anybody in terms of talking about data and the data scientist and go as deep as anybody wants. So maybe is there specific data that you could give an example of that you are able to access or that you put on the platform that maybe others aren't using? Because I think that is important because the more up to date the data, the better decisions we're all able to make.
Yeah, appreciate the anecdote about your experience as a client of Markerr. And yeah, with respect to data, so a couple examples. We work with one of the largest payroll companies in the country, where we see anonymized payroll information for about 20% of the working population. So we see the kind of this real time insight into income, and we can tie that to really granular areas. It covers essentially every part of the country. It's really powerful for understanding, when you're making a decision to acquire, a property, or you're looking to essentially try and, manage the revenue potential of a property you already own. Having real-time insight into income that you can tie at a really granular level is very powerful. And particularly when you think about something like what happened, with the lockdowns and with COVID and the disruption that occurred to all these different markets, people moving all over the country, the traditional sources of data, whether it's the kind of, government surveys or the BLS survey that's done, the challenges with those, and again, those continue to be the most commonly used data sets by our clients. The challenge is they're not granular. They generally will go to the MSA, in some cases to the zip code. They're also very latent, and so what that means is, when those get published, they're anywhere from 1 month to 3 months to could be 18 months old. And so, what ultimately happens is clients are making decisions. They're literally plugging these numbers into their models with data that's pretty stale. The other thing is, we've done a lot of work to quantitatively prove that some of those metrics, they don't really have any correlation to rental rate growth, which is one of the key metrics that our clients are trying to understand. Forward-looking rental rate growth is critical to understanding future revenues, ultimately tied to a property. And so, really good example of where we can provide better insight, real-time insight through this empirical data set, do it in a way that it really does add a tremendous amount of value, and ultimately helps our clients differentiate their decisions when they're trying to understand income and rental rate growth.
Got it. Yep. And so talk about you were talking about clients or customers, maybe without giving names, like are they all really large companies or some of them smaller companies that may not have a huge data team or data analysts on team? What is that? What do your customers look like?
Sure. It really does run the gamut. We have really large players that own, tens of thousands of units across the country. We work with, other folks that have, a few properties in a specific, sets of geographies, and, all kinds of clients in between. And I think and that's the benefit of the kinds of products that we create. We do have data feeds and other types of analytics products that we can create. We also do, we build products that are, delivered through these dynamic dashboards that, again, are really easy to use. It's like pulling up a web app and, searching an address and then getting insight. And then we write lots of reports. So we're trying to proactively uncover all this insight to help understand trends at a market level, as well as all the way down to block groups. And so, we published one, recently that looked at Nashville and showed how Nashville had dramatically outperformed the rest of the country with respect to new job growth. And, understanding new job growth, is really critical to understanding, the potential of a market. We can tie that back all the way down, to specific neighborhoods. And so, we identified the Gulch as an area in Nashville that, again, had shown really compelling trends and is one that lots of our clients are already interested in. And again, that just goes to the potential for, who we can service. We can certainly service the large institutional owner investor that might have their own data science team and their own engineering teams, all the way down to just serving, the client that has one person responsible for acquisitions and just wants a better, more efficient way to help make those decisions. And that's ultimately the kind of business that we're building. That's the power of big data analytics, is the potential to unlock this insight and deliver it to clients in a variety of ways to help accelerate their decisions.
Yeah, and what I think is interesting is you mentioned Raleigh and Nashville. Those aren't surprises to anybody, right? We've all know that Raleigh and Nashville are booming. We know most people would know that the Gulch is booming, but I think your data really can unlock where everybody's not focusing, right? Because that's what we are all trying to figure out in the industry today is where is everybody not going? Now on the apartment side, it feels like everybody's everywhere, but clearly if somebody can unlock a submarket, and really sometimes it is as small as a submarket or a zip code or a school district or whatever it may be. I think that's interesting, and where the value comes in.
Yeah, and Jam, just to that point, you mentioned the competitiveness, and that's another theme we hear from clients a lot is every deal is competitive. Seems like everybody's in all the same markets. The kind of up and coming market trends, feel like they're saturated very quickly, and so it's a big driver of wanting to leverage our products like Markerr and new kinds of data sets is in a highly competitive environment. We've seen clients want to do two things. One, differentiate the way they make the decision. So new kinds of data, new kinds of insight to hopefully uncover or frankly, just new data to plug into their models to ultimately enable them to maybe identify something somewhere that others aren't looking, or to more accurately perform their underwriting process to enable them to have a differentiated view relative to the competitive set. And you can't really achieve that if you're using the same data that everybody else has. The second thing is clients, need to make decisions faster and more efficiently. And that's another part of everybody kind of naturally thinks, well, data, it's different. I'm going to know something that somebody else doesn't. And that is a real use case. But the value of making the same decision but getting there, 20% faster or 40% faster, the power of that is you're freeing up resources. And one of the things we hear again is, our people and our time is our most, precious resource as a business. And being able to do that, creating that efficiency is really powerful for ultimately becoming, more profitable, which, profitability cuts across, yes.
In a competitive business environment, you're trying to make your decisions more quickly for two reasons, right? One is you want to make the decision to say, okay, I'm not going to focus on this, right? So once you get comfortable in the data that you're looking at, you say, okay, I'm not going to focus on this. But probably just as importantly, in a competitive buying environment, things are moving more quickly than they used to. And so you need to be able to make that decision more quickly to say, okay, this is something that I want to focus on, whether it's a development site or whether it's a multifamily acquisition or whether it's an office building or whatever it may be, because everybody else is moving more quickly at the same time. And I think anybody who's listening to this, who's in the business, is feeling that pressure to make decisions more quickly, but to feel confident in making those decisions more quickly. Let's step back for a second, because you've had successful exits, right? So this is not really your first rodeo. So maybe talk a little bit about sort of Majestic Resource, Seven Park Data, and sort of how you get to this place, right? Because you've been here before, you built a business before.
Way back, I'm a CPA by trade, so I was in public accounting for very early in my career. Got into data companies and technology companies. After that, I think the experience with a company called Majestic Research is how I moved to New York in 2008 to join Majestic. We had a successful exit there. My time at MasterCard was really informative. I spent 2 years at MasterCard. I joined in 2010. I helped them launch, part of a big team that helped launch their data business inside Mastercard. And today I think it's a multi-billion-dollar business, and it's been their fastest growing business segment. I think it's for 9 years in a row. And when you think about that's staggering at a company like Mastercard, that's essentially a monopoly for all intents and purposes. But for me, it was really instructive just learning everything from the product and technology side to essentially we're operating as a startup within Mastercard, which is it's not the same as running a startup in a standalone business, but I learned a lot, and that enabled me to start a company called 7Park Data in 2012, which was a big data analytics company focused on serving multiple industries, including the hedge fund segment, media and entertainment companies, and we entered real estate actually through an acquisition of a pre-revenue company called Real Factors in 2019. But 7Park was an incredible experience. Started with a former colleague named Alex Nephew. And we raised some money, 2 rounds of capital. We sold that company to Vista Equity Partners in 2018, and really just an incredible experience. Learning everything from starting a company with literally, just 2 guys sitting around a conference room table with an idea to an exit to Vista. And we spent 2 years within Vista as a Vista portfolio company. An incredible learning experience from Vista's the top private equity firm investing in software, technology, and information companies. And had another exit in January of this year, which is when we started Markerr. But really, I mean, look, you can't the learning experience from MasterCard to starting 7Park was incredible, and put me in a position and us as our team at Markerr to really get started with a great team, incredible talent, and to do it really efficiently and really quickly, and to go get great investors to finance the start of the company, like RET Ventures as well as JM, your firm, and so just a lot of learning and incredible team and talents, and we're excited to be building something new.
First off, Vista Equity Partners is obviously very well respected. MasterCard, you mentioned it. We had them speak at our annual meeting one year, and their data is ridiculous. I mean, the amount of data that they are able to access is really interesting, and it was our investors loved hearing about it. But you mentioned the team, all right? So you're in Vista, you now spin out, gives you the chance to sort of take some of those team members with you, build that team. Talk about what that management team, your team, looks like.
Sure. So yeah, that's the thing that's really unique about this situation is we started the business with a dozen employees that had all worked together for, in some cases, Eric, who's the CFO of the company, joined us at 7Park in 2014. Aaron, who's our chief marketing officer, I've been working with her for 3+ years now. Tom and Eugene are product and data science leader and Markerr. And we've been working together since 2019. So you had this group that had already this established culture, a lot of experience working together, and we're really just kind of continuing what is ultimately a bigger, more dedicated mission focused specifically on real estate. We had the advantage to hire some great folks into Markerr. So we just brought on a new lead for our engineering team, who's Matt, who joined us from JP Morgan. We have a new chief product officer joining us from RealPage, actually next week, Andrew Jenkins. And like you can't find talent like this without having, great talent enables you to get great talent. Great investors enable you to get great talent. And the other things we've really embraced the kind of live anywhere, the post COVID world. While we're all generally focused on the kind of New York area, at the end of the day, we just want the best possible people who believe in our mission, who can help us, realize the biggest possible vision for Markerr, and that's what we want. And so, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Mistakes I made. Going back to Seven Park. We want the best possible people, regardless of where they are. We want them as soon as we can, and we want to move as fast as possible. And that's a big part of what we're building at Markerr.
I say around our office all the time, and we're in the real estate business, but we're in the people business. It's all that matters to us. It's who we are. It's why we've done so well in our career. And so you've talked about the team, but talk for a second about what RET means to you, having that investment with them, because obviously they're a very well respected investor in the space, and have a ton of impressive LPs. So maybe talk for a second about that relationship.
Sure. So we met RET back in December when we were putting together. We ran essentially a process to go find our lead investor, and we met RET and bunch of other folks. RET was our top choice from the start, and they're our top choice for a few reasons. First, they really believe in our mission, which is a big part. Having investors that are really passionate about what you're building, and they had a specific thesis around the potential for data in real estate. So like that was a massive checkbox. They have all the resources. They have really smart people. John Helm and Chris Yip. They have a lot of expertise and a lot of network, specifically in real estate. We like that a lot. And then lastly, their network. They have, as you mentioned, I think it's 50 or 60 of the largest institutions in real estate, largest owners and operators and investors. They're LPs in their fund, and so they literally, they invest in things that can be value add for their LP base. I had the opportunity to join them a couple of weeks ago in Park City. They had their annual LP summit, and it's literally like a who's who of the kind of big players in real estate. And that's really powerful to be able to have that access. I say to the team all the time, our client partners and JMU and the team at CRC included, that's our secret weapon at Markerr, because they give us so much valuable insight into, even the feedbacks, like, sometimes it's positive and sometimes it's constructive. And, the constructive feedback is sometimes more powerful than the positive stuff. Like, hey, you guys, like, you're kind of onto something, but you're looking at it the wrong way, maybe looking at it this way. That feedback loop it's critical to building great products. It's critical to building products that are going to deliver value for the long term. And it's critical to inform the roadmap. I looked at our roadmap with our team as we're thinking about Q3 planning, and literally 90% of it's directly coming out of client and prospect conversations that we've been having over the last kind of 90 to 180 days. And, that flywheel and that feedback loop, it's the lifeblood of building great products.
What are those clients saying they want? Like, in other words, what does that roadmap look like, right? Because we know what we all want. We want the holy grail where we can push a button and it tells us whether it's going to be a great acquisition or not. And it's 100% correct, right? And it predicts where the rent growth is going to be, and it's always right. And you move on. Well, we're never going to get that. But what are your clients saying they're looking for?
Sure. So yeah, everybody wants the Google answer machine. We haven't cracked the code on the answer just yet, but yeah, we've got great insight into demand indicators, and one of the things that we got a lot of requests for is, hey, we'd love more data about supply. So because that's obviously supply is critical to making an investment decision, or it's critical to understand your underwriting process. And so We had already had some data on supply. We went out and got a lot more. So we're going to be adding, now we have data that we've either collecting from the web or we're licensing from partners, covering nearly 200 million properties in the US. All kinds of data about, transaction prices, around square footage, around zoning, incredibly powerful insight to be derived from all that data. We heard requests from clients that want real-time insight into population counts across different demographics, as well as migration. And so, migration is a really hot topic because people are moving all over the place these days, and remote work, and the country's shutting down and reopening, and then maybe shutting down again. And so, understanding where people are living and how that's changing over time is really critical. The source of that data, it comes out once a year. That's what people generally use. And so, that's just not timely enough anymore. And so, what do? We went out and found some really great data we're going to be adding to our products later this quarter. They're going to provide real-time insight all the way down to the block group of changes in population, who's moving out, what kind of numbers are moving in. Going to be really critical to understand. We've got lots of requests for features and functionality in our dashboards. So we have these web applications that we build, and we get great requests from hey, here's really kind of things that fit better within the workflow. So we wanted to be, clients want to be able to, we're trying to just reduce the time from searching an address to insight, and then enable the seamless way to extract that insight and plug it right into internal investment committee presentations. And so, the fastest we can get, is just going to ultimately enable us to deliver value to clients quicker, to enable them to do their jobs faster. And so those are all really real world examples of things that, client requests are just literally building right into the roadmap.
Got it. So it's more about, okay, we all read that people are moving from the north to the south, but okay, where are they moving in the south? Are they going to stay where they're moving? What do the income levels look like for those people who are moving? Those kind of things are the data that you're digging into versus the general trends.
Yeah, and then also one of the things I haven't mentioned is hiring. So we have some great data on hiring, and you hear all these examples of this giant company X is moving from Silicon Valley to Austin, or to Raleigh or whatever, and we have hiring data that's forward looking that we actually see are these companies really moving their high income tech jobs to these places? Are they just kind of moving the back office roles there? How many of the roles did they really move? And so, I think those are really important. Everybody gets all excited around, the giant tech company that moved all their jobs to a place. Did the company actually follow through? And so, again, it's all this real-time insight that in some cases is forward-looking, that's critical to understanding, what a neighborhood looks like, not just today, but what it's going to look like into the future, which is really important if you're going to own a giant apartment building in the middle of that location.
Because we're all going to see the headlines that Amazon is moving to Nashville or Apple is now opening up something in Raleigh, but it's okay. That may be happening, but what else is really happening? Because while that is the headline, how many other companies, and there normally are a lot of other companies that are not going to get the headlines, and that's going to drive, for us, that'll drive our rent growth. Because frankly, they're probably already heading there ahead of Apple or ahead of Amazon. They may already be there, which is why those companies are moving there, I think.
Yeah, you can't invest on a headline, right? You can't invest millions of dollars on a headline. And so you got to really unpack what's actually happening here. And, not just Austin, but this specific neighborhood in Austin, this specific block. Because Jim, you don't you're not investing in a city, you're investing in a building, and that building exists in a specific place. And so understanding as much as you can about it, trying to unpack, what it's going to look like in 3, 5, 10 years, and do it as fast as possible, and do that better than all your competitors. That sounds like a hard problem. I'm glad I don't have your job, JM.
Well, look, exactly, because by the time the headline's there, everybody like me is like, oh, there's the headline. That's where we could be focused, right? So I think we try to do is, okay, why did we go to Melbourne or Rockledge before everybody was talking about the Space Coast? Because nobody was paying attention to that, right? It had 12% or maybe even as high as 15% unemployment in the last downturn, but now it's obviously booming because the Space Coast has come back. So how do you get there before those announcements come into place? Maybe can you give one, because what you talk about, I think for a lot of people is just complex, right? Because there's just everybody's trying to get their head around it. But maybe like a simple case study, like, okay, here's the simple way to think about what we can do or what we do.
Yeah, a couple examples. So we have a client that works with us. They look at 20 to 25 deals a week. They get deals pitched to them from brokers. Maybe they source direct deals. Maybe they have other kind of deals that are just kind of inbounded to them. And they have a kind of small team focused on how to basically perform initial diligence on 20 deals in a matter of days. How do you prioritize those deals, and how do you decide which are the top 2 to 3 you want to focus on, and then how do you decide among those 2 to 3 ones you want to like take the next step and do a lot of work on? And so, we enable this client to like dramatically reduce their time to make that prioritization decision each week. Literally, like you know, uh, dozens of man hours per week, because they have all this data. It's in one place. It's aggregated. It's easy for them to get access to. It's easy for them to extract, plug into their analysis, and then ultimately deliver that support, to the other folks in their organization to help inform that decision. So that's one real world example.
Right, and they still may be using other data sources, right? They still may be using some of their other data sources, of course, but it's sort of like, okay, here's another way to look at it. And then you sort of triangulate, okay, let's think of how we've been doing it before. Let's think about what, Markerr says, and then you sort of you go from there.
All this data is, it's siloed. So it's, I have this system over here, and then I get some data from the brokers, then I have my own data. And the challenge of pulling that all together, making sense of it, and then getting into a format that's easy to build into a report that can be delivered to your broader team. It just takes a lot of time. And so, by having, a large percentage of that in one place, easily accessible, where we're just putting in an address and you're getting back all this critical insight, and it's easily exportable and built into my PowerPoints or my other presentations. There's just tremendous value in that time.
Got it. So maybe end with, you've spun out of Vista, you've got a great team, you've clearly got access to data that others may not have access to, or you're using it in a different way. Talk about your vision for 3 to 5 years. Like, how do you see where Markerr is heading and where it is going?
We're a small team here today, so we have a big execution challenge, right? So execution challenge, there's a big opportunity in the market. We've got great investors. We've got great support from clients like CRC, and many others. And we have what we think is a market moving in our direction. The potential for real time insight. We're just scratching the surface in real estate as an industry. We have great folks. We're going to need a lot more great people. We need to go acquire a lot more clients, and we got a really aggressive product and technology roadmap that we want to hit. And so, the execution challenge is we need to continue to have great folks join our company that are going to continue to drive our business forward. We need to have the culture that can support that growth. That's the thing I really learned about Majestic is like the importance of culture, and culture is not just what I want it to be. It's, the behaviors and the collective skills and actions that, the team at Markerr creates and supports. That's really important to enable us to, companies change as they grow. Already at Markerr, we started kind of, 10, 12 folks. We're kind of rapidly approaching 20, and by the end of the year, we should be at 25 to 30 plus people, and we're going to have lot more clients and different products and more products. And so, as you grow, your companies change, and we need to be able to have a great culture to do that. And then ultimately, we got to just look. We need great clients that believe in our vision. We're gonna probably raise more money in the future, and so those are all the things. Those are opportunities. They're also challenges we need to overcome. But lastly, look, I think as a team, and me and our management team, we're excited about what we're building, and you gotta be excited about it. You gotta want to build every day. You have to be passionate about delivering value to clients. You gotta wake up, kind of jumping out of bed, thinking about delivering value, and that's the future for us. Look, our business, we're continuing to invest in the technology and data science and building great products and growing a business. And with the market moving, we think towards us, we're going to create tremendous value for our investors, for our clients, and also for our employees. And that's what we think about building a Markerr.
Well, look, I can tell you got a ton of energy, so that's all good as you grow. Because look, we spend a lot of time with a lot of different prop tech companies within our company. We spend a lot of time thinking about data, as you know, and we enjoy the relationship that we have in terms of figuring out how to do things smarter, better, faster. So with that, I want to thank you, Brian, for being with us today, for talking about the journey for Markerr, and we look forward to continuing to see the growth. Thanks.
Thanks for having me. All right.